Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello students, I, Assistant Professor Mayur Thakur, welcomes you all in the video lecture series of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University at Chaitanya Studio. In today's session, we are going to discuss the unit number 14 of block number 3 of first year BA English course. That is the very first paper of compulsory English. In today's topic, we are going to discuss one of the very important topic, modal auxiliaries. So when we heard the word, what is modal auxiliary? So first we'll begin with modal auxiliaries definition, then we'll go and understand what are the use of modal auxiliaries in grammar and how we can use and how it helps us to make a word formation, and how it create a huge, we can say a particular sentence structure. Now, into this session, as we all know that there are modal auxiliaries called can, shall, may, might, dare, need, and when we use them into indirect speech, suppose can becomes must, then it is ought. So these are some modal auxiliaries that we use in our day-to-day lives, but we don't know that how to, and when we face sometimes we face a problem when how to use it. So in today's session, we're going to discuss one after the another one. We'll discuss all these modal auxiliaries in detail. Now let's look at the use. First we'll begin with the what kind of a modal auxiliary and what kind of things it expresses. Now we'll begin with the very first, that is must. So must expresses necessity, certainty, obligatory, and compulsion. So when we have to, there is a compulsion that you must do this, means a person has to, or we can say have to do this. That means this kind of modal is auxiliary use. The other one is should. Should is used for advise, possibility, and desirability and compulsion. Now, shall, which we use for future. So these are the which we use for future purpose, like in future that I will, we will do this. So these kind of modal auxiliary were used in future tense. So shall and will. So both are these modal auxiliaries in used for from the future tense point of view. Because before we begin modal auxiliary, the first thing is very clear in our mind that this tense. As we all know, there are simple present tense, continuous present tense, and present continuous tense. So these kind of tenses like that we have studied in grammar in the earlier. So we must be aware of the tenses. So without the knowing tenses like past tense, present tense, future tense, we can't proceed further, because when we use all these modal auxiliaries, they are nothing but we can say a model. We can say they use for to create something more, which adds something in the sentence, or we can say it helps us to create a verb. In Gujarati we call it Sahaykarak Kriyapad. So these are modal auxiliary which is used. And must, should, shall, will. So these are very much which we are very much aware of that. So must we can say that આપણે જ્યારે કોઈને ફરજ પાડતા હોઈએ, જ્યારે આપણે કોઈને ફરજ પાડો કે you must come, મીન્સ તમારે આવવું જ પડશે. તો આપણે જ્યારે must કહીએ તો આપણને ખબર પડી જોઈએ કે ના, આ વસ્તુ કે compulsion, it shows some compulsion. Should, you should go, મીન્સ જ્યારે આપણે કોઈને સલાહ આપતા હોઈએ. Desirability means જ્યારે કોઈ વસ્તુની આવશ્યકતા હોય તો જ્યારે શું યુઝ થાય છે? should. So that means should means આપણે જ્યારે કોઈને સલાહ આપવા માંગતા હોઈએ, means advice, then it will be used should. shall નું આપણે શું કરીએ છીએ? જ્યારે indirect speech ની અંદર આપણે કન્વર્ટ કરીએ છીએ તો આપણે શું લખાય છે? should. When we convert this particular verb into shall into a indirect speech, then it becomes should. Will becomes would, right? And there is also another one is can. Can નું શું થાય છે? could. So these are modal auxiliaries, and each and every modal auxiliary has some purpose. Like first we see must, so it shows necessity, certainty, obligatory, and compulsion. And the second is should, might, should, may, might. So like just like may. So may is also so possibility, and might, just like it might rain today, means થશે, એક શક્યતા દર્શાવે છે. like આજે વરસાદ થશે. it may rain today, means both are showing the possibility. Now used to, ought to, and may not. So all this can be used in terms of negative. We can also use them in negative formation. When we use some negative words, then it is also just we need to put a not, the not form. Like for example, we'll understand all this one by one with the example, so we can have a better idea. So as you can see, there is one example here. I shall leave for Calcutta tomorrow. Means તેણીની હું આવતીકાલે કલકત્તા જઈશ, મતલબ રવાના થશે. સો I shall leave for Calcutta tomorrow. So in a first person, we can say I. And there is like we shall discuss the matter with the principal. So these are some examples from the first person point of view. I shall, we shall. But when we use this particular term into second person point of view, like in indirect speech, so what it happens? It turns into a should, convert into should, and it shows some command. Like what happens that shall in the second and third person may express a command, means you are giving a command to somebody, means so before we go further, we have seen shall and should. Now let's look at will and would. So will shows, what shows will? So will, we as we know that it shows promise, willingness, certainty, means I will do this. You will know the details very soon. So it shows that these are the things that happen in future. It shows, it gives, it gives us promise, it shows willingness, certainty that something will happen at certain point of time. So it shows that he will arrive at 9 p.m. That means it shows that particular person will arrive at that particular point of time. So that is called, matlab, he will arrive at 9 p.m. means એ 9 વાગે આવશે. તો આ જે છે એ શું દર્શાવે છે? પર્ટિક્યુલર પ્રોમિસ અને જાતની ભવિષ્યની અંદર જે થવાની છે મતલબ ઘટના, એના વિશે આપણને ચોક્કસપણે આપણને થોડી માહિતી આપે છે. સો will, would. Now can, could. So what is can and could? So can shows the capability, ability, or we can say both are the similar words, that ability, capability, possibility, permission. When we ask something that can I look into that, generally we use may for permission, that may I come in, sir. We use this phrase many times, but it seeks permission. And also we can use can and could for showing that a kind of, we can say, ability. Yes, I can do this. Yes, he can climb the mountain, means તે પહાડ ચડી શકે છે. મીન્સ આ બધું શું દર્શાવે છે? આપણી શક્તિ, મીન્સ આપણે જે કાર્ય કરવાની ક્ષમતા છે. ઇટ શોઝ અવર કેપેબિલિટી. સો કેન, કુડ. So just like another one is જ્યારે પ્રાથમિક આપણે ક્રિયાપદ યુઝ કરીએ છીએ, જ્યારે કાળમાં જ્યારે આપણે કોઈ યુઝ કરીએ છીએ, સાદો વર્તમાન કાળ હોય, ભૂતકાળ હોય કે ભવિષ્યકાળ, તો ત્યારે ઇઝ, એમ, આર, હેવ, હેઝ, હેડ, વોઝ, વેર. સો ધીઝ આર કોલ્ડ પ્રાઇમરી ઓક્ઝિલરીઝ. આ બધાનો આપણે ઉપયોગ એવા ટાઈમે કરીએ છીએ કે જ્યારે આપણે કોઈ ટેન્સીસ યુઝ કરતા હોઈએ. પરંતુ જ્યારે મોડલ ઓક્ઝિલરીઝની વાત આવે, મોડલ ઓક્ઝિલરીઝ મીન્સ કે જે અત્યારે હાલ આપણે થોડી વાર પહેલા જોયું કે દેટ ઇઝ can, could, shall નું શું આપણે કરીએ છીએ? should, may might, will, would, used to, ought to, dare, and then we have need. તો આ જે ચાર જે છે it is called marginal auxiliaries. We hardly we used it, but in general sense we use these terms in other terms like used to. So used to shows something that has happened already in the past. He used to swim. He used to swim in his 20s. Means એ જ્યારે તેના 20 વર્ષના સમયગાળામાં હતો ત્યારે તરી શકતો હતો. So she used to go to the garden last month. So means જ્યારે કોઈ વ્યક્તિ habituated હોય, it shows habituated. Means habit. So like I used to do cycling year ago. મીન્સ એક વર્ષ પહેલાં હું સાયકલિંગ કરી શકતો હતો, મતલબ સાયકલ ચલાવતો હતો. તો આ શું દર્શાવે છે? હી યુઝ ટુ ડુ સાયકલિંગ. સો ધીઝ આર સમ માર્જિનલ ઓર વી કેન સે ડેર. Dare is also another kind of marginal auxiliary, that is shows courage. Sometimes we can say you dare not. We have heard this phrase many times, that how dare he do that. Means કેવી રીતે? How? Need. Like for example, like particular time you are in need of something, we can say I need to go. So these kind of modal auxiliary is used to make sentence, we can say proper. It helps us to ask questions. It helps us to make a very much say what kind of ability, capability, permission. So all kinds of purpose we use this modal auxiliary, and that is why it is called helping verbs. Another word is for that. Helping means સહાયકારક ક્રિયાપદ તરીકેનું કાર્ય કરે છે. આપણું મતલબ વાક્યને શું કરી દેશે? ઇઝી બનાવી દેશે when we use modal auxiliaries. So these four are marginal and these are the modal. So these are 8. So we all know that these all are used in a different we can say different sentences with different purposes. Like can shows capability, may shows possibility, shall is used for the permission, and will shows the possibility that this will happen. You see that in upcoming months election will happen. So these are we can say some examples. He can run marathon. So it shows his ability that he can run marathon on and on. May, so it shows you may come in. તમે આવી શકો છો. Means you may come in. It shows that possibility. Used to, ought to, dare, need. So these are marginal auxiliaries. Primary auxiliaries we use in he, is, am, are, have, has, had, was, were. So these are some verbs that we use already in the tenses. So these are modal auxiliaries. Now let's look at some examples so we can have some better idea that how to use all this in particular situations, because there are many situations in which we have to use all these auxiliaries, because auxiliary helps us to make ourselves very clear about the questions that come into our mind. Shall and should. So now let us look at the example. So he shall leave for Mumbai tomorrow. The answer is why it is shall, because it shows possibility. Leave for Mumbai tomorrow. Tomorrow means future. It shows future tense. So that's why it will be shall. But now if you look at from the past point of view, suppose ભૂતકાળ હોય તો શું કરશું? You dash come yesterday. Yesterday, as we all know, it shows past tense. That means should. You should come yesterday. તમારે ગઈકાલે આવવું જોઈતું હતું પણ ના આવે. What is the reason? He shall leave for Mumbai tomorrow. તે આવતીકાલે મુંબઈ જશે. તો this shows the possibility. આવું થઈ શકતું હતું એમ. He should, but he can't. બરાબર? અમુક ટાઈમે જ્યારે ના થઈ શકતું હોય ત્યારે એની સાથે આપણે શું યુઝ કરીએ છીએ? નોટ. જ્યારે પણ નેગેટિવ સેન્ટેન્સ આપણે યુઝ કરીએ છીએ મોડલ એક્ઝિલરીઝને, વેન વી યુઝ નેગેટિવ સેન્ટેન્સ લાઈક શુડ નોટ, or you can say shouldn't. In other words, we say shouldn't, should not come. So these shows negative sentence. Cannot, could not, shall not, should not. When we just put not behind this modal auxiliary, it becomes a negative sentence. So can and could. In past form we call it could. So can shows ability, permission. For example, she can run marathon. તેણે એની મેરેથોન દોડી શકે છે. That means can, it shows their ability. She can run marathon. Now let's look at the could. So could you please take me to principal office? It shows a polite question. When we used to use some polite words like could you please take me to the principal's office? So if when we want to ask some a polite question, then it use could you please take me to principal office? Another is she can run marathon. So it shows ability, and the other one is polite question. So it can be used the past tense of can in indirect speech. When, as I told you, that when we use an indirect speech, it changes. Like can becomes could, shall becomes should, will becomes would, may, might. So these are the changes when we use modal auxiliaries in indirect speeches. The third, could is also used to ask polite questions. The third is could is used to express possibility or uncertainty or something dependent on unreadable conditions. Means it is used as the past tense or indirect speech. So these are the four use of could. Now may. So this is can and could. As we understood, now let us move on to another two things, that is may and might. So if you try to understand modal auxiliaries from it uses, where if you practice with your friends, then you will easily understood that how, when it is used. So try to practice it with your near ones. Now may is only for permission. Possibility. Now let's look at the example. We generally use this. May I come in, sir? શું આવી શકું? So it is shows may I come in. We generally use this since our school days. So these are the, you can say, normal, very, you can say, common example. Now possibility. It may rain today. Means આજે વરસાદ થશે. Sometimes, and also it may is used for wishing people. Like we heard this sentence many times. May God bless you. May God bless you. ઈશ્વરની સદા આપણા પર કૃપા રહે. તો આ શું છે? It shows wish. May God bless you. We have heard this sentence many times. So this is another example is it may rain today. So it shows possibility. It is expresses wish. કોઈને આપણે શુભેચ્છા પાઠવવા માંગતા હોય ત્યારે કંઈ કહેવું તો કહી શકે, આશીર્વચન આપવા હોય તો may I come in. It shows question, means પ્રશ્ન પૂછવા માટે કંઈ આપણે પરમિશન લેવી હોય. It may rain today, that is એ શક્યતા દર્શાવે છે. May God bless you, that is shows એ આશીર્વાદ દર્શાવે છે, વિશ દર્શાવે, ઈચ્છા દર્શાવે છે. So permission, possibility and wish. Now might. So might is the past tense of may. So might used to indicate a more doubtful possibility than may. Like for example, I might pass this exam. હું કદાચ આ પરીક્ષા પાસ કરી દઈશ. It shows a doubtful, whether the person is not sure. When the person is not sure, he says, I might pass this exam. I might go to the principal office. Means હું કદાચ પ્રિન્સિપલની ઓફિસમાં જઈશ. તો it shows doubtful possibilities. Next is used when you want to be extremely polite. Extremely. For example, if I might interrupt you for a moment, means ક્ષમા આપણે કોઈને પોલાઇટલી રિક્વેસ્ટ કર્યું હોય ત્યારે આપણે શું યુઝ કરીએ છીએ might, and it on when we use to show doubtful possibilities, then it is also used. Now let's look at the another one, that is must. As we discussed earlier, it shows compulsion. You must come to the office today. આજે તમારે ઓફિસમાં આવવું જ પડશે. સો ઇટ શોઝ મસ્ટ. મસ્ટ મીન્સ જ્યારે આપણે કોઈને ફરજ પાડવી હોય, મીન્સ કોઈને કહેવાય કે ફરજિયાતપણે આપણે કોઈને કહેવું કે આ કરવું જ પડશે, દેટ ઇઝ કોલ્ડ કમ્પલ્શન, મીન્સ મસ્ટ. સો હી મસ્ટ હેવ ગોન હોમ, મીન્સ એ ઘરે જવો જોઈએ, મીન્સ ઘરે જવું જ જોઈએ ને. હી મસ્ટ હેવ ગોન હોમ. અનધર એક્ઝામ્પલ વી કેન સે we must be loyal to our country. Another example is we must follow traffic rules. As a citizen, we must follow traffic rules. So this is another example when now when we used to express a necessity, means jaruriyat. So we must get up early to start our day. Means સવારે બને એટલું વહેલા ઉઠવું જોઈએ. We must get up early to start our day. Means it shows necessity. And the another thing is it shows the compulsion. Now another is ought. So just like must, there is another modal auxiliary called ought. So when ought to refers to past times, it is followed by the perfect infinitive. Means it generally refers to show the past things that happened. For example, he ought to have helped him. તેણીની મતલબ મદદ કરવી જોઈતી હતી. મીન્સ તેની મદદ એને કરવી જોઈ હતી. He ought to have helped him. So it shows kind of past thing that એની મતલબ મદદ થઈ શકી હોત તો કદાચ કામ થઈ જાવ. That he ought to have helped him. So it is one example. Now another thing is that past tense of owe, or generally the past tense of owe, when you owe something. I owe this business. That means maliki darshavaj. So how now it generally points to present and future time. Means it generally points to present, future. So its use being followed by the form of infinitive and not the simple form. Ought is not as forceful as must. Means એટલું બધું ફરજિયાત નથી. પેલું it's mandatory. When we use the word must, that means it is compulsory. But it's ought to. Means આ નથી શકતું, આવું થવું જોઈએ તું. Means આ શું દર્શાવે છે કે he ought to have helped me, કે એની મદદ કરી હોત તો સારું હતું. But you must help him. એ શું દર્શાવે છે કે ફરજ દર્શાવે છે. That means must is used when there is compulsion. But ought is used when it is very much needed. You know, just like આપણે કોઈને ફરજ નથી પડતા, થવી મતલબ it is not compulsory. Now there is two left, that is need and dare. Need means jarur. I need this, I need that. We have used this many times. And dare, it shows courage, sometimes bravery. Now why need is used? So need is both used as a principal verb as an auxiliary. Means આપણે એને પ્રિન્સિપલ તરીકે પણ યુઝ કરીએ, મુખ્ય ક્રિયાપદ તરીકે પણ, અને સહાયકારક ક્રિયાપદ તરીકે પણ યુઝ કરી શકીએ છીએ. સો ફોર એક્ઝામ્પલ, we need more laborers. To complete the work. Means આપણે હજી વધારે we need more labor to complete the work. Means અમારે હજી વધારે મજૂરની જરૂર, કામ પૂરું કરવા માટે વધારે મજૂરની જરૂર છે. We need more laborers. Means to finish the particular task we need more particular thing. That it shows necessity. You know, when we use a need, means જરૂર હોવી. Now let us look at some another example for dare. So dare, how it is used? So dare is used both as principal verb and as an auxiliary verb. As a regular verb, it is used as a regular verb. It is used in the sense of defy, challenge, or face boldly and is regularly inflected. Means he doesn't dare to swim. He doesn't dare swim in the channel. Means એનામાં એક શું કરવાની તાકાત નથી. He doesn't dare. Dare means it shows valor. Means dare, હિંમત. જનરલી આપણે એને ગુજરાતીમાં શું કહીએ છીએ? હિંમત. He doesn't dare to swim in the channel. So as an auxiliary, dare is ineffective and is commonly used with not. Dare not, like as an auxiliary it shows dare not, like he dare not do so. When we use this particular dare particular auxiliary into a, he dare not do so. That means it is used as an auxiliary. And when we use this as a principal, like principal auxiliary, it is called he doesn't dare to swim in the channel. And generally mostly used with the not, as we discussed earlier. Then it is not, like cannot. You cannot do that. Means when we use the word, when we used negative sentence, when we want to make a negative sentence, just put not, like shall not, should not, cannot, could not, he may not come. When we use, you know, there are, as we all know, that there are 4 kinds of sentences. So one is positive, that is affirmative, second is negative, third is question, and the fourth is exclamatory, means udgarvachak. Udgarvachak means not. That is affirmation, means વિધાન વાક્ય જેને આપણે કહીશું ગુજરાતીમાં. Questions. So in all these four kinds of sentences, all these modal auxiliaries are used, and we just need to use a particular, we can say, because before we proceed for modal auxiliaries, we must know the tenses, present tense, past tense, and the future tense. So with that understanding, we can use all these modal auxiliaries in a particular situation. So try to practice with your friends, try to practice from various sources, and you will find that how all these modal auxiliaries can help, because in your exam there will be 4 to 5 questions on modal auxiliaries. So just like for example, let us give you some example at the end so you can practice. So this is second. The third will be so these are some examples. Try to find the answers and practice on your own, because modal auxiliary is something without you can't make sentences. In English, they are very helpful when in a day-to-day lives as well as in your writing, and it helps us to understand a particular thing very much clearly. And it has so many purposes, as we see that it shows capability, permission, and desirability, possibility. So these are the things when we use a particular word we use modal auxiliaries. So thank you for joining today's sessions. In this session there are 12 modal auxiliaries that we have discussed, and in the next session we are going to discuss another grammar topic in detail. So thank you all for joining this session. Thank you, students.